and we'll be
Okay,
able to download the video, and then I'm putting them over to our new YouTube channel, which is awesome.
awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
I'll go look that up. I didn't know that was there. Awesome.
Let's see. All right, it looks like we are live. So, hello everybody. Welcome to Thursday. I like to tout Thankful Thursdays, and I'm so thankful for today and for this amazing lady that I am about to introduce to you. I am Vihil Vigil. I am a women's empowerment coach, and I am the creator of the Boss Latinas Anthology, a 2-year project in the making that is just coming to peak here and will be launched at our quarterly Business Women of Diversity Power Luncheon on July 15th here in San Diego, California at FEMEX quarters. And while we are working ourselves up to the launch of the actual book and of our quarterly Power Luncheon, I have the great pleasure of welcoming some of the authors to a brief introduction and a hello Zoom to all of you amazing people out there. So I want to welcome this morning one of the authors of the Boss Latinas Anthology, and that would be Heather Bravo Martinez. And she's going to be telling us a little bit about who she is and what prompted her to join the project that is 2 years in the making. It's not easy to get, almost 50 women to tell their stories and to really help with the understanding of how much of a great impact we can make when we come together through our signature collective collaboration to be able to share our stories, our trials and tribulations of life, on how we have gone from A to current point in life, and then what our plans are for the future, and what we hope that you can gain out of understanding our journeys and our experiences as Latina women, as business owners, and as entrepreneurs. So thank you so very much for joining me this morning, Heather. How are you? Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Good morning. It's a beautiful morning here in Northern California, and I'm so excited to be part of this.
Tell me about, I know you and I have gone through lots of conversations, but for our audience who is learning more about the book and about, our reasons behind creating it, tell us a little bit what attracted you to the project.
You know, what attracted me to the project is, as a Latina woman, there's so many, we're so diverse. We have Latinas who truly look Latina, and then we have some like me who don't look that. And so within even our own culture, there seems to be a divide of you're not Latina enough, or you're too Latina, or you don't fit in here. And so we've never been able to find that place, especially when I was raised in the area I'm raised in, being Latina and having a white mother, it was considered biracial marriage. And it was really hard to figure out where you fit in. And especially with the stigma of speaking Spanish and having an accent, being told, don't speak it, don't have the accent because we want you to go above and beyond. It was really hard to identify that I'm Latina because I was told to hide it, and within our families and our culture, it's very common to find the person's insecurity and really pick on them. That's what we use as nicknames, right? So I've always been heavy set. So Gorda has always been that name of, hey, Gorda, hey, fluffy, hey, this. And so it really tears you down to some point. And so when I saw you posting like, hey, Latina women, let's get together, let's build our stories and help build the next generation up and help empower them. That is so much of what I try to do with my daughter every single day. And if I can share a story that changes one, not even Latina, any woman's life, Latina, Black, white, Asian, if my story can change their life or change their perception of how we should empower each other, that means the world to me. We should be straightening each other's crowns without looking for that recognition, right? And we tend to fail to do that. It's more of a competitiveness of, I want to be better than her, so I'm going to step on her at her lowest moment. So seeing what you wanted to do just inspired me to share my story.
Yeah, yeah. We have similar backgrounds. So my mom is white and Native American, and my dad is Spanish and Croatian and Native American, and I don't speak fluent Spanish. And I grew up in a town of, farm workers and farm owners. And, it's tough when you are biracial like that or multiracial. And you're perceived to be of one culture, and you're expected to fulfill or check all those boxes. And when you don't, you don't know who you are. You don't understand, what your place is in your world. And that's probably why I left, my small town as quickly as possible, because I felt like I needed to get out into the world and figure out who I was, because clearly I didn't know who I was. Growing up, I knew that I was part of this rather large family that sometimes got together, and there was always Mexican music playing, but there wasn't always a lot of Spanish speaking happening. And we always grew up eating rice and beans and tortillas, and,
Oh yeah.
and we always made tamales during, but like we weren't Mexican. We were Spanish and Native American. And to wrestle with those different identities was always a struggle for me. And when the impetus for this book, for the Latinas Anthology, was specifically to be able to reach out to women who identify as Latin and who are completely different from one another, to really create this collective of stories to say, yes, I identify as Latin, and you identify as Latin, but we may look completely different and we may have grown up completely different. But you know what? Here's our story. And here's how, through all of those experiences of not understanding who we are from an identity perspective, not understanding who we were supposed to be, and then sharing the choices that we did make. Like for me, joining the Navy right out of high school was the way for me to kind of get thrown out into the world. And then, going through college and living up in the redwood forest, to do my bachelor's degree, and then trying to create a life in San Francisco while I was putting myself through a master's program, and then, having a child, and then building a business and going through abuse. And I think what is really important that we share is that no matter what you go through, life is difficult, and it is not all wine and roses, and bad things do happen to good people. And I think what is so important that what we share is how we blossom from our circumstances, and about how no matter what, no matter the difficulties, that we do push forth. And what is such an honor for me to be able to share these stories is to allow the women and future generations and current generations of women to read our stories, and to understand that there is always light at the end of the tunnel, as dark as it may seem today. That if you seek it, and if you refuse to let the darkness or the sadness close in on you, that you're already one step ahead of it. Just making that choice. So in the sharing of your story in the book, can you share with us now maybe some of the ways that you were able to continue to push forth when you were finding things difficult in your life, something that you shared within your story?
I will tell you, the thing that I found that was difficult in my life is that every success, at some point, I remember going home and being so excited because I got my first HR job, where I had a business card and a credit card. And I was like, Grandma, look, I got a business card, a credit card. She's like, okay, la chingada. So you think you're better than us, right? And
that's so disheartening, right? I mean, like,
right?
Just be happy for me.
Just be happy for me. Like, she goes, do you want me to go get you a card? Like, oh, chicona, here. And I'm like, and so it was taking those words and trying to even more prove that it wasn't that I was trying to be better than anyone. It's not because now I can go out and buy a car, or I can go out and buy this purse I like. It was more of developing myself and learning myself and not depending upon a man. Don't get me wrong. I have a phenomenal husband who is extremely supportive even during this book. And he is definitely my backbone, 110%. But I wanted to prove I didn't need a man to take care of me, because in our culture, it's very much you get married, you have kids, and you wait on them, right?
Yeah.
And I will tell you, upon the struggles of hearing, you have two disadvantages. And I'm like, well, what? Well, you're Mexican and you're a female. I never saw me being a female or being Latina as a disadvantage.
Right.
And for it to come from someone who was so close to me, like, well, you're not like me because you're not blonde hair, blue eyes, and you're not white. So you're going to have to work 10 times harder than anyone else. To hear that, not just from a good friend, but even my mom would tell me you have to work 10 times harder than everyone else to prove that you're just as good as this Caucasian man or this Caucasian lady sitting at the same desk doing a job, just drove me even more that I want to be better. And I will be honest with you, it wasn't till I remember I was staying in my office and I met a Latina lady who was in an HR business partner role that I wanted to be in at the time. And I met a gentleman who was very openly gay, part of the LGBTQ community, which I'm very much an ally for. He's like, hey, we have the same issue. We have to work 10 times harder to prove who we are. And she's like, Heather, do you realize there's only this small percentage of Latinas who have their bachelor's degree, their master's degree, and their doctorate's degree? Do you want to continue to be not downgrading you, but being just a high school diploma or an AA degree? And as I'm thinking it through, I'm like, I don't just want to settle for it. I want more. And so that's what drove me. And hearing like, oh my gosh, I started a career a few years back and I worked with a phenomenal plant manager, and his sister and I became good friends. And to see him accomplish a master's degree as a Latino man and knowing only like 0.3% of Latino men get it, and his sister saying women are even smaller amount, but Heather, you're smart, you know what you're doing. And it's not the reinforcement from people, but hearing that you can go above and beyond and promote. And I promoted up into my position now with another company. That's what's inspired me. It's waking up and knowing that I'm making a difference for myself, but I'm also showing my daughter that no matter what you think your boundaries or your barriers are, there's no barriers. It's what you put into it. And so even in my darkest days, I'm like, I can't get up. I can't do this anymore. I lost my mom 11 years ago. On the darkest days of her anniversary or anniversary of her death, I wake up and I'm like, I can't do anymore. No, I can. And you want to know why? It's because of the rich culture and heritage that we have. I don't care if you're El Salvadorian, if you're Puerto Rican, if you're Dominican, if you're Mexican American, Spaniard. Guess what? We're all the same culture. In some way, we all connect and we all share that wealth of history and culture. And knowing the history my family has in California, when it was Output, California, is phenomenal. And it just makes me want to succeed even more. So I hope they read that in my story, and they're just, and all of our stories, not just mine, and realize that Latina girl who's in high school and she's getting bullied because she's too chunky or she's too skinny or her hair is curly, because our hair isn't always straight. Or to your point, I'm Irish, Mexican, and Italian, and I don't look Mexican, right? Hey, I don't care if you don't like me because I'm light skinned. I'm proud of who I am, and I'm going to develop myself into this. I hope it inspires someone to take their career or their education to that next level.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. I am so honored to be able to meet with you, Heather, and with so many of the phenomenal women who have agreed to share their stories in the Boss Latinas Anthology. It is a labor of love for me over this last 2 years of putting together these stories and reading through all of them, because of course I read through all of them multiple times as I'm going through editing and just making sure that everything is where it should be, and making sure that the book is coming together as it should be, And every time I read over a woman's story, it's just a reminder of the the diversity within us and the drive within us. And I know, even for myself, someone who struggles with depression on a regular basis, is that whenever I'm feeling discouraged, to go back and to read through one of your stories, or to reread my own story, when we are open to the fact that, yes, these are the struggles that we may have gone through, but look at all of the things that we have accomplished.
Right.
And I think that that is one of the things I have done with several previous coaching clients is we'll do like a listing of, write down 50 things that you have accomplished in your life. And when you start getting down to like number 12, number 13, number 15, it gets a little harder. But and then you have to start thinking on a smaller scale, or take a really big step back and say, what have I done that's really big that I might not have accepted praise for, that I absolutely deserve praise for. And sometimes I have to remind myself to go back and read over my list of 50 accomplishments, because in all of the things that we do, in all of the struggles that we have to manage on a consistent basis, deep inside of that is you, is myself, is the woman who is determined to succeed, because we want our daughters or our children or our sisters and cousins and nieces, etc., to not have to settle for status quo or expectations of what they may or may not be able to accomplish. One of the things I really hope that people are able to get out of the book is that the diversity in which that we accomplish tasks and goals, and are able to add to our lists of 50 things that we've done in this life that we may not accept praise for, but we very much so deserve praise for. I hope that those who read the book are encouraged. And for those of you who don't know this, what I ask all of our authors, my only ask was, tell us your story, but in the end, give us something to encourage the reader, encourage the reader to go out and to accomplish her goals and accomplish her dreams. And then, of course, in our resources, we always say, reach out. Like if you want to be able to accomplish a goal or accomplish a task, or you need help climbing a mountain, reach out to these amazing women of the Boss Latinas Anthology, because all of us have volunteered our time to anyone who is, who has read through the book, and who will have, wanted some assistance on accomplishing their goals and being coached and being, encouraged, to move forward. And so I'm really looking forward to our launch. I'm really looking forward to getting the book out there. For those of you who are watching this, we are launching it on July 15th, in person at our Boss Latinas, or at our Business Women of Diversity Power Luncheon and the Boss Latinas Anthology book launch. I'll put the link for you all to register to attend. You can attend in person. There are still some in-person seats available, as well as you can attend virtually, and everyone who registers also receives a copy of the book. So with that, Heather, I want to thank you so very much for your time and for your commitment to this awesome project, and your willingness to share your vulnerabilities, to sort of dispel the myths that these vulnerabilities that we do share are not something that are going to hold us down. That, if anything, we find strength in those vulnerabilities, and we find strength in the complexity of who we are as women, as people who are willing to share our stories with the goal of encouraging others to go for their dreams and to find their happiness and to create the worlds in which that they really want to create for themselves and for their families.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me and allowing me to be part of that Boss Latina. It's been a phenomenal experience, and something that To your point, every time I see your post or I see a bio of another author or I even reread mine, I break down in tears crying. And so thank you so much for allowing me to be part of this amazing thing with women. And the one thing I like to leave everyone with is keep in mind, think about how much you're willing to compromise yourself, because you only have so much of yourself to give, and you have to give to yourself before you give to others. And
Yeah.
together as a village of women, we can go a long way.
That is a beautiful way to end. Thank you so very much, Heather. I
Thank
look
you.
forward to getting to know you more as we continue through this journey. For everyone out there who is watching this, please give so much love to Heather Bravo Martinez, one of our amazing authors of the Boss Latinas Anthology. I will post the link here so that you can go ahead and support us by registering to attend, by purchasing a book, by sponsoring another attendee. If you're not able to attend, but you'd love to help with expenses of the program, you can also sponsor an attendee as well. So I look forward to seeing everyone again when I'm able to feature another one of our amazing Boss Latinas authors. Heather, you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to speaking with you again very soon.
Thank you. Bye.